Hello, hello. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time and your attention. Today, we are going to be talking about delaying your destiny. Now, what does that even mean? First of all, I'm going to say where it came from. I was having a really interesting conversation this morning, and the sentence delaying your destiny just kind of popped up in relation to that. And it sounded so good that I was like, I'm going to make a video called How to Not Delay Your Destiny. I don't know actually what I'm going to call it until I type it in. I haven't typed it in yet, but that is what we're here about. I'm just going to set the scene, okay? Because the conversation was based on a meditation around sitting by the ocean and listening to the waves coming in and out and having your feet in the sand and feeling the warmth of the sun while being cooled by the wind. And it just sets such a lovely scene. And the first thing that came to me is that the waves and nature in general just kind of moves in flow. Now, today's going to be very fluffy, okay? And that's great because I love the fluff. So I know that some of y'all are going to as well. If you don't like fluffy stuff, maybe this video is not for you. Okay, so waves and how the waves move and how nature moves, it's all very natural. Nobody has to sit down and figure it out, right? It just happens, it just moves as it is. And then I was thinking, if you in life are the kind of person that runs your life trying to figure everything out from your head instead of going with flow, with the flow state, and being guided by what feels right, and instead you try to figure everything out, it's almost as if you're the wave that tries to go against the current, right? Imagine you have this ocean and everything is flowing freely, and then you have this one wave that's like, no, I want to go here, I want to go here, I want to go there, and it just doesn't work. It creates a lot of friction, and it creates a lot of irritation in the room. So how do you, first of all, what happens when you do that? that is when that is when you're like trying to make things happen, but you're not a match for the thing that you want to happen. So this comes back to the Be Do Have framework that I talk about regularly. You need to be in alignment with your actions, and your action needs to be in alignment with your desired outcome. And once all of those align, things become effortless, they go into ease, it becomes a flow, and you're not creating any friction in the process. Okay? So when you're trying to make things happen, but you and your identity and the person you're showing up as and the energy you show up with is very needy or irritated. And I use the word irritated because you can feel it in the room, right? It repels people. Have you ever been in a room with people? It's like when someone is trying to convert you, right? They're like, you need to understand all of these things. And you're just like, no. Thank you, but no. Whereas other people, they will sit down and they will just talk about, this is what I get from my religion or whatever it is. This is why I'm vegan. This is why I do CrossFit, right? And I'm sorry for putting all of those in the same bracket. Then it really comes down to, what is the intention of you sharing? Is it just to share, like, this is why I love stuff and it's done this for me and it's wonderful? If it's not for you, that's great. You do you. That's totally fine. Let's all have space to be here in the room together. You remove the friction because you're not trying to push something on someone. It's the same if you're in a sales conversation and you're really needy for that sale to close and you're so attached to the outcome. You show up with this energy that the receiver is like, okay, let's not talk about this today because I'm not feeling the vibe. Obviously, they usually won't use those words, but you get what I'm saying, right? It comes with this energy that's like irritated, there's friction, there's trying to push for something, there's ugh, and that repels people. And that repels any type of energy. It creates friction in any type of energy. So if you're trying to achieve something in life and you're going at it with this desperation and this neediness, it becomes very irritated, and it's going to repel the people around you as well. So if you look at what kind of opportunities are available to you, the opportunities that become available to you are the ones that are a match to your identity. So the way you show up, the energy with which you show up, because people that have really high level opportunities are not going to give it to someone that has an irritated energy, that has friction in their energy. So not until, as long as you're trying to fight the waves, you're the wave that tries to fight the whole ocean. You're trying to figure it out. You're trying to like maneuver your way through all these things instead of just letting things happen and showing up with making things happen. This does not mean that I suggest that you sit down and you just meditate your whole day and you don't do anything. You know, the waves are still taking action, but they're moving, right? There's still movement, but there's aligned movement. And there's the movement in the speed and in the flow that it's supposed to go. It's not trying to like push for something that's not meant to happen. Everything is aligned, everything is in flow, but there's movement. So there's some people who's going to sit at home and they're going to just do all of the inner work and they're going to meditate every single day and they're going to, get into their abundance energy, and then they're going to think, I'm going to be attracting all of this opportunity to me. How are you going to attract something in your house? There's nobody there. Nobody's seeing you. Nobody knows about what you're doing. Nobody knows about the movement that you want to create. Nobody knows about what you want to do. And I know that this is not y'all, right? But this is just to say that is not what I mean. I don't mean just sit at home and do nothing. I mean figure out a way to come into a state where the energy feels warm, where you feel aligned, where there's no neediness or pushiness, but you have this state of like just elevated frequency. You show up in the world with this energy of love and gratefulness and thankfulness, and that's magnetic, right? People are getting drawn to you. They're going to invite you for things. They're going to give you opportunities because they want to spend more time with you, right? And this is not to say you need to be grateful because now somebody's going to want to spend time with you. No, that's not that. That's not what we're here for. I'm just explaining how it works. It works because when you create a good energy around you, that energy connects to people that are also in that energy. That is why if you're vibrating at a very low frequency, you're going to see that the people around you are also very low frequency people. Because if you're constantly in feelings of victimhood and frustration and negativity, and that is what you feed off, someone who is in general positive is not going to vibe with that. So the more that you have that, they say misery loves company. It's because when you're feeling just like miserable and you want to talk negative about everything, you're going to find other people who want to talk negative about everything. If you have this energy of neediness, you're gonna connect with the other people who are feeling that neediness. Whereas if you kind of just let go and you get into a flow state and you're creating this sense of being, and you're doing things that feel right, it feels like it's going with the flow, right? The opportunities are gonna start opening towards you, and when you get an opportunity, you're gonna make that decision based on what feels right. What is like, oh, this is something that I would really be excited about doing. Instead of being given an opportunity, you're like, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. That sounds like a lot of things. And that's actually not what I'm good at. But I just need something to happen, so I'm going to do it anyway. And you're going to end up not doing it very well because you don't actually want to do it. You just want to do something that's there. Instead of saying like, interesting opportunity, not for me. So how do we get back into that flow state? First of all, you get to really know yourself. You gotta know this flow state as if it's your best friend. You probably know it already when things feel good. If you've come out of a really nice meditation and that feeling of just feeling joyful, blissful, happy, that state, that is such a good guide. If you tap into that all the time, so that becomes now your state and you're feeling that, when opportunities are presented to you, you can figure out, is it this or is it that? Is it this or is it not that? Is it, which one do I want to go with? What is the vibe of the thing that I want to follow? And what is the vibe of the things that's like, no, that's definitely not going to happen. And once you start making the decisions based off of this, you get into your flow state and you're in the ocean. And then this ocean is where your destiny lies. So when you try to do things that are not aligned with this flow, then that's when you try to force something that's not supposed to be there. And that's just pushing whatever you're meant to do further away. So that's what I mean about delaying your destiny. When you engage of all of these things and you're creating all of this energy that's not meant to be created, you're going down the wrong path instead of going down the right path. The right path is where your destiny is. Now, figuring out what really feels good. I know that a lot of people here, not necessarily here in this room, but a lot of people in general are a little bit confused about what actually feels good. Because sometimes what we think feels good is actually what is just distracting us. So if we're going through a period of time where things seem and feel really hard and stressful and pushy, and then, oh, a whole day on the couch watching Netflix sounds amazing. I totally get that. We all need our day, of just distraction sometimes to just unwind, which is fine. We don't have to unwind only with meditation all the time. But what often happens is that when we allow ourselves to be distracted, what we're feeling is not feeling good. We're feeling the removal of the stressors, the removal of the negatives. So what we're actually feeling is more numbness than goodness, right? So if we're feeling really good with, a glass of wine and a cigarette and watching something or gossiping or whatever it is, yes, that can feel really good. But does the thing actually feel good? Or do you just not feel the things that you've been feeling all day because what you've been feeling all day has been stressful? What you're feeling all day has been like putting a lot of energy into doing things that are like hard, feels hard. If what you're getting at is like, I just want to feel the numb part so I don't feel all the negative parts, then that is not the same as feeling really good about something. It's not the same as being in that positive state of joy and happiness. And some people have spent so much time and energy in their life of removing all of the negative feelings in their life that they're no longer able to feel the positives in their lives. Have you ever tried, have you ever been in this situation where you just feel numb all the time? I've had that, right? Definitely had that. I grew up with a lot of like depression and just negative self-image and a lot of negative thoughts about myself and about others. When you feel crappy, you project your crappiness on other people, right? So I would have very negative thoughts and feelings around other people and about myself as well. And one of the ways that I got over that was by using mindset. And when you use mindset to manage your emotions, what happens? You just hide your emotions really well, even to yourself. Those emotions now become so far away from your conscious that now you just don't feel anything. The really good stuff feels barely good. The really bad stuff also doesn't feel that bad because you've just squashed down your emotions so much that now you're no longer in contact with your emotional self. That is not feeling good. That is feeling numb. That is feeling unhealed. So in order to allow yourself to feel really incredible things, you also need to allow yourself to feel the really bad things and to release them instead of store them in a box hidden somewhere deep down inside you that you don't even know where it is because you started stuffing it such a long time ago. So my point being that, getting back to distractions, when you engage in distractions to feel numb or to feel the vacancy of the negatives, the lack of the negatives, instead of going towards the positives, when you're focused on distraction, it's almost as if you're in the wave of your ocean and you just decide to stand still. Your wave is not moving. Your wave is just stuck. It's just there. So there's kind of friction on both sides, but it's not as bad as going against it. But you're still delaying your destiny. You're delaying the process. It's like you're on the path and you just stopped walking. You just stop walking. Unless the distraction becomes so they take up such a big part of your life that now they're a whole new path going in a different direction. So how do you avoid delaying your destiny? Well, getting into a flow state. Get to know yourself and your emotions and your energy and your vibe and what you vibe with so well that you can tell. It's like a compass. it tells you which direction is the right direction, what feels good and what doesn't feel good. And some people are then going to say, oh, now I don't know how to make decisions because I can't feel it. Well, it comes with experience. So just start doing things and then figure out how does it feel. And many of you already know what I'm talking about. You're like, yep, I've definitely done a lot of those. It looked and felt like a really good idea, and then it just really wasn't. And that came with experience. And then you learn the energy and the vibe and the energetic expression of that type of experience. So you'll be able to identify it again, right? So once you're again faced with this opportunity, you're like, oh, ding, 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 ding. Remember that time we did that thing? This kind of feels like the same thing, right? So now you can make decisions based off of that. And you can start getting into a state where that feeling of bliss and abundance and good vibes, opportunities where it's like, this in this direction, it just feels so good. It feels so magnetic. It feels like something I'm gonna absolutely love doing. And you're gonna go in that direction. And sometimes you don't know, you just want to figure it out. And you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out on the way. The worst thing to do is to stop or go against, right? Just try to follow the waves. Sometimes the wave is gonna be not what you thought it was. Maybe it is just like a turtle or something. Okay, now I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. But really, avoiding delaying your destiny is just about getting into that state of understanding yourself, your energy, what feels good, and then letting that guide you. And then getting into that. I mean, when I moved to Rwanda, I had so much evidence given to me before I even thought I was going to move here, of things that just aligned and fell in place. And I was like, hey, just come take a step this direction. I was like, okay, let's try that out. Yeah, now there's another step here. You just come take a step in this direction. And a lot of people thought I was crazy. They're like, you can't just quit your nice paying job with great benefits and great security in one of the happiest countries in the world to just like uproot and go somewhere and you don't really know anything about the place. And it's like very, very, very different. And you have no security. You don't have any plan. What are you going to do? You don't even know what you're going to be doing. People thought I was crazy. But everything aligned so perfectly. I was like, how can I not? How can you get this much evidence that you should do something and then ignore it? How is that for lifetime regret if you don't do it, right? So I did it and I had to do it. And I've seen other times in my life where something similar, never as strong as when I moved here, never as strong as when I moved here, that I've seen many times in my life where something has just kind of started happening in front of me. I'm like, okay, let me just ride this wave, see what happens. And it just becomes this beautiful, beautiful experience. And it always comes, even if things don't end out well, it always comes with the experience that can guide you better in the future. So just allow yourself to ride your waves. Enjoy that ride to your destiny. And thank you so much for today. I don't know if any of this made sense. I hope it did. If not, let me know in the comments. If it did, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what you have to say. If you've ever had any similar experiences, and if you have any questions. So thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow.